you guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new on my channel, my name is Sindisiwe. This channel is about self-care and food. And if these two topics sound like something you might be interested in, please go ahead, hit the subscribe button and be part of the family. Also, don't forget to turn on that bell so that you should be the first person to see my next video. Let's get started. So today's video is actually about this, the menstrual cup. I'm sure you guys have seen this several times on YouTube, on Google, everywhere. It's everywhere. And there's so many reviews about this, but I just thought of making my own review. The time I wanted to switch to a menstrual cup from tampons and pads, I literally was going through like so many videos on YouTube, like trying to see everybody's experience, like do they like it, does it work, you know, and all the stuff. And I realized the more I researched about it, I was kind of getting discouraged. I almost thought myself, you know what, I think this cup doesn't work. Then later I started doing my own research, like I started reading about the cup and all those things. Then I gave it a shot. Ever since, you guys, I can tell you I've learned to love my periods, and not only that, I've realized that this cup is actually very efficient. So today's video, I'm not going to be talking about the tips and the tricks, you know, on how to insert the cup and da. No, I'm not going to be talking about that. But if you're thinking of switching from like tampons and pads and you want to switch to this cup, today is what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about the things you need to know before you make that decision. And once you know those things, in the other video that I'll make, I'll now talk about some of the tips and tricks that you need to know when you finally have this cup. So let's get started. So the first thing about this menstrual cup that I learned is that this cup is actually much safer compared to other methods like of collecting like your periods, you know, like pads and tampons. They have so much risk associated with them. First of all, let me talk about pads. Pads actually sit on your panty, meaning that the blood that comes out of your vajayjay actually, you know, kind of reacts or mix with the air, and that can actually cause like an odor that you don't like when you use like pad. The time I used to use pads, I also used to have it. That's because the blood that comes out of you, it kind of mixes with the air outside, and that's the reason. And another thing I didn't like about pads was, you know how you get that dampness, like, you know, down there when you're on your periods. That's one thing I never liked. Like that damp feeling is like the worst. I hated it. Then I actually stopped using pads. I started using tampons. I like tampons because they kind of gave me the dry feeling. So I actually decided to stop using tampons when I learned about the toxic shock syndrome, which can happen if you've let the tampon in you for a very long time. And I just decided, I was like, you know what, I think I need to be very careful with some of these things I'm inserting in my body, and I also need to be careful about the chemicals some of these sanitary, you know, towels contain, because I know that the processing of pads and tampons involves some form of chemicals, and that can be bad like for a body, because you're literally inserting it in you and you don't know what comes in you. So I think the first advantage about this cup, my first point, is it's much safer. You know, this is made out of silicone, so you don't have to worry about the toxic shock syndrome and other risks that come with tampons and pads whatsoever. Then the second thing, I'm going to talk about comfortability. Let's talk about how when you're on your periods and you're wearing like, you know, the pad, it's like every time you have to check like on your pants, like on your jeans, of course, like, oh my goodness, like I'm literally touching my butt right now, you guys. It's like, is it okay? Is it peeking behind? You always have to double check, like every time you're maybe about to go in a crowd, or you're just at work, or you're just at home, like all those things. Like you always have to go in the bathroom and, oh, I think it's positioned okay, and all those things. And that's one thing you're not going to worry about with this cup, you see. And that's why I like it. I feel like this cup, when you insert it in your vajayjay, it just stays. Let's say this is a famous seafood, then you insert it, it kind of opens up like pam, then it creates a vacuum, then it's like inside you. So this whole cup like stays inside you, and it's very comfortable. You basically feel like there's nothing inside you. And also, I also want to make sure to also tell you that before you actually decide to switch to this cup, you want to make sure that you're comfortable navigating your lady parts. Like I know some people might not be comfortable inserting 2 fingers, let's say like that. I mean, you might not be inserting all the 2 fingers or 3 fingers, but because the cup, let's say you fold it like that, you're used folding it like that using the seafood like this, then you have to do this. Then for it to open up, for you to make sure it opens, you have to navigate your lady parts. And if you're not comfortable doing that, maybe you want to rethink your decision of switching to this menstrual cup. The third advantage about this menstrual cup, you guys, is that it can stay in you for about 12 hours. Most of the times, like I've seen, like the first day and the second day of my periods, the highest the flow has reached for 12 hours is here, and which is not here but here. When I take the cup out, like the blood is this much, and guess what, the blood doesn't also smell. Like it literally doesn't smell because the blood doesn't get in contact with air, and that's a big advantage. So you're only going to be changing the cup like twice a day, which is way better than tampons, which you have to change every 3 hours or 4 hours. Like how cool is that, you guys? Like I really love this cup. So the fourth thing is that this cup is also reusable. When you like change it and wash it in the shower, because most of the times, like I know a lot of people are going to tell you, no, you can change it at the sink. I prefer to change it in the bathroom. Like basically it gives me that space where I don't have to worry about if I splash the blood out of the cup and all that stuff. Like I mostly change it when I go and take a shower, because I mostly take a shower twice a day when I'm on my periods anyway. So, and I change the cup twice a day. But some people manage to change it at the sink, but most of the times I change it inside the bathroom. So when you're inside the bathroom, like you take it out of you and you have this blood. It's not disgusting, it's just gonna be no more thing. So you're gonna have the blood in there, you just like spill it in the drain and clean it out. Most of the times, like I use a feminine wash to like clean the cup, and yeah, then I'm good. Or you can just use soap and wash it out in the shower, you know, and kind of just shake it a little bit. Mostly that's what I do in the shower, shake it a little bit and insert it again in me, like using this famous seafood. That's the one I use. I feel like this one is much easier for me. Yeah. So yeah, these cups are actually reusable. You can use them up to 3 years, so you don't have to buy tampons for 3 solid years. That brings me to the fifth point. You're gonna save a lot of money when you buy this menstrual cup. You see, with tampons and pads, you have to think about, oh, I need to buy a pack of pads, I'm gonna have my next period, or have to buy a box of tampons for my next period. You're not gonna be doing that. And let's look at maybe the cost of pads. Let's say one box costs you about let's say $9. How much are you using a year? That's a lot of money, more than the money you're gonna use on buying this cup. Period poverty is actually very real. About 1 in 10 girls in Africa miss school because of not having sanitary pads or tampons. Even in developed countries, some women still worry about their next periods because of how expensive pads and tampons can be. If you're in the US, you know very well that tampons and pads are taxed on average about 5% of sales tax. And I mean, that's kind of ridiculous because women don't choose to have periods, but we get them anyway. And other things like, you know, Viagra, they're not really taxed as much. But when you look at tampons and pads, they're taxed very much, that it can be hard for people who live in poverty to access those things. So if you buy the cup, you don't have to worry about your next period. The other advantage of the cup is that it's gonna shorten your flow. I'm not sure if this is for everybody, but I know this is the general trend. Ever since I started using this menstrual cup, I noticed that my periods became shorter. Before that, my periods used to be about 5 days roughly, but now my periods are only 4 days. Like literally 4 days. On the 4th day, I only get like few drops, then like it's completely done. I know this is just a general trend for people who use the cup, but this is not guaranteed for everyone. So when you start using the cup, don't automatically think that no, my flow is going to become shorter. But this is the general trend in a lot of people. A lot of people have actually reported that their flow became shorter. The other advantage about this cup is that you're going to have less painful periods, because my periods used to hurt a lot. Nowadays it's like it's only the first day when I have cramping and, you know, my back hurts a little bit. And now I no longer have so much pain on the second day. These things mostly start before my periods, like, you know, a day before my periods and on the first day of my periods, like cramping and stuff. The rest of the days, like, I never have pain. The other times, like, the cramping would last until the second day, but now, like, it's not much. It's just like the first day for the most part, and yeah, it's over. And because of all these advantages of the menstrual cup, you're gonna have a better experience with your periods. Like, you're not gonna be like, oh my goodness, I'm having my periods next week, this sucks and all that. You know how you feel like when you're getting your period the next week. Like nowadays, like basically I'm like, oh, I think I'm getting my period maybe tomorrow, because I can feel my body like changing. Like, I don't worry about it nowadays. Like the other times I used to worry about it. Like when I know my period is coming, I'm just like, here we go again, like, you know, all that. But now, because I know how to handle my periods even better, it has just become a different experience, like, and I love it. I feel like this cup has made things way better. So for the next video, I'm going to talk about the tips and tricks on how to effectively use this cup. See you in the next video. Bye.